Hello there, this is Matt, and in this video I'm going to tell you what you need to do to retire by 30. Now, I recently made a video about how much you need to save by your 40s, and I explained in detail how much money you should save by every age. And that video got me thinking, what if you want to retire early, let's say by your 30s, maybe even sooner? Now, because of that very important question, I'm going to explain in detail what you need to do to retire by 30. Don't forget to hit that like button and stick around till the end of the video to get as much information as possible, because you need to understand all the steps that you should do in order to be successful. So the first thing that you need to understand is your goals. What does retirement mean to you? You have to ask yourself what you want financially, and if you're aiming for financial independence, there are multiple different types, 5 to be exact. And don't worry, I'm going to outline every type of financial independence and explain in detail what they each mean. Now, first one is lean financial independence, and basically, as the name suggests, you will retire with minimum requirements without having to work ever again. Now, this type of retirement means that you will be able to live off of basic necessities, such as being able to afford a place to live, or just your basic bills and expenses. And you can have some fun on the side, but it doesn't mean that you will live a luxurious life. It's basically living off of an income that's less than the average American income. Now, the second one is barista financial independence. I know it's a funny sounding name, but bear with me. Barista financial independence is basically when you have retired, but you haven't saved up enough to be able to be fully financially independent. In this case, you will need to have a side hustle or a side job, a part-time job, to be able to cover your expenses, hence the name barista. The third one is known as coast financial independence, and it simply means that you will be coasting to retirement. It means that you will start retiring soon, but it will be slow and steady. You won't retire all at once. Your investments will provide enough return at a certain point in time to be able to fully retire. The fourth one is just simple financial independence, and it's basically what the normal retirement is and what it covers. It covers basic expenses that you have every month, and you can fully retire with an average monthly expense, and you will not be able to cover a luxurious lifestyle, but you at least no longer have to worry about working ever again. Now, the fifth one, which is the last one, is fat financial independence. And as the name suggests, it's a fat retirement. It's basically more than $200,000 a year in expenses for retirement. And in this case, you will have to have saved up a significant amount of money to be able to retire with a fat bonus, basically. So how much do you actually need to be saving, and what you should do? So to answer that question, you have to ask yourself 3 other questions. How much are your expenses? How much have you saved up? And how much money you make? These are the questions that you should start with. For the first requirement, it's basically it's recommended you spend 3% of what you have totally saved up for retirement. So that's because an optimistic return on investment is about 7%, and if you end up spending 3% of that, you will be left with 4%, meaning that no matter how many years you spend that 3%, you'll never run out of money. Because you have the other 4% covering the rest of it. Now, I would suggest that you start with a service like Acorns, and they'll be able to help you invest your money. I have a link down below. They will give you $5. And no, I'm not sponsored by them, but they're a good service. Now, let's say you have $1 million invested. It means that you can spend $30,000 a year on retirement expenses. So how does that work? Let's say for every $1 of expense that you spend every month, you will typically need to have saved up $40,000 a year. So if you're spending $1,000 a month, you need to do $40,000 times 10, because of 10 of it, which is $400,000. That's how much you need to have saved up. Now, an average American makes about $5,100. It means that you need to have saved up nearly $2 million to live off of the average American expense. Now, for the next question, which is how much money have you saved up? You can find out how much yearly expenses you can cover with the amount of money that you have saved up simply by subtracting the total amount by 33, and that gives you the yearly expense amount that you can be spending. Now, let's say you spend around $4,000 per month. You can simply multiply that by 12, and they'll give you your yearly expenses, and you multiply that by 33, and you get something around $1.58 million. That means that you need to have saved up $1.5 million to be able to cover $4,000 a month when you do retire. And for the last question, which is how much money do you make, you can find out how much more you need to save by simply subtracting your living expenses, or how much money you have saved up, by 33 times your income. And that will give you how much money you need to have saved up. If you have saved up $100,000 and you need to retire with a $4,000 a monthly expense, you probably have $1.57 million left to go. So what should you do to start your retirement plan and retire within 10 years? It's actually really simple. All you need to do is basically save up 80 to 90% of your total income, and you should be able to retire within 10 years. Now, that's not really as easy as it sounds. You will be financially limited for 10 years, but at the end of it, you know that you can retire without having to work ever again. So as always, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment in the comment section down below, and subscribe.